Okay, I am so excited for what we're talking about today. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about stay-at-home moms versus corporate or working moms. By stay-at-home moms today, we're talking about women who are not going to work and they have decided to take care of their kids. And then corporate or working moms are mothers who are working but also still after the work hours they go and take care of their kids. And the thing that I want to preface today is not what is happening online, which sometimes you see all these women online and the snarky comments and the internet explodes and someone makes a video on, I think every woman should not go to work, they should take care of their kids, and you see how the internet, it's literally on fire. Well, I can tell you from experience that I have in the last 2 years experienced both. I have been a stay-at-home mom for a year and a bit, and then I've also experienced having to send my kid to daycare so that I can go back to work. And let me just tell you, the things that I experienced, it was emotions that I have never felt, emotions of grief. There was just a lot of things that were going on at one moment of time. And today I'm about to explore this for you. So this video is for you, and send it to another mama who might be going through something or might be trying to think, oh, my mat leave is done, now I have to go back to work. That video is for that person. So let's get started. As a stay-at-home mother, you are feeling underappreciated. You feel like people don't know that you exist. And when people ask you, so what do you do? And you're like, oh, I just stay at home. Even you yourself are degrading yourself because you do not give yourself that much value in the work that you're doing. And at the same time, corporate moms, you feel like after finishing all the demands of a boss and the many things the arsenal of things that you need to do at work, you still have to go home and be a mom and do all things and be present and be a mom. So in all this, I found out that, I guess in nursing terms, we say nurses eat their young. In some ways, the internet moms, they eat their young. They eat each other through commenting, through snarky things that they talk about, and just, sarcasm, and not knowing that they're actually putting a dent in someone else's life, putting a dent in whatever that person has been dealing with in their head. And now you're affirming this lie, or now, I guess for lack of better words, these lies that maybe we might be believing. But in all this, I've found out that there is two different symptoms, but the one thing that I've seen is that it's guilt. Women, there is a lot of mom guilt that goes around. And today, I think that's what we're going to be talking about today. So no matter what you end up choosing, if you choose staying at home with the kids, or if you choose going back to work, we need to internalize and process the mom guilt that comes out of that. Because for me, when my first child was 11 months, I just remember thinking, and I had to think, I was putting off daycare, and now I had to really think about it because I was pregnant again. And I thank the Lord for that. But I had to now think about, wow, I need to send my kid to daycare and I'm not ready. I had to process all these feelings that were going on in my mind, which for anyone who has to make the hard decision of sending their kid to daycare, I can tell you from experience that you have a harder time than what your kid is going to have. So rest assured, your kid is going to be just fine. Yes, they'll cry at the end when you send them off and you leave them there. But to be honest, you have a harder time than they ever will. So I'll just leave you at that. Okay, first of all, the internet is screaming. And first, there is the one side that says, be a trade mom. Homeschool your kids. Stay with your kids. Cook all the meals, homemaking. There's even homestead videos now online. And there's nothing really wrong about that. And they kind of encourage, you take care of the kids and deal with the home. And the husband needs to figure it out. They need to figure it out financially and they need to provide. So there's one side. And then there's another side that says, go back to work. Do not waste your potential. And, it's now impossible to have one income, so you need to go back to work. Figure it out at all costs to put your kid in with grandma, with the daycare, so that you can focus on going back to work. Okay, so these two camps, when you look at them, it makes sense. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, that makes sense. You need two incomes these days. It's really hard to just be on one income, or you really have to drastically change your lifestyle if you're going to be on one income. But I think through it all, the narrative, it's like you need to look at what works best for your home. The moms who decide that they are going back to work, for them it probably works, but the moms who also decide to stay at home, for me, I remember I didn't get into daycare, the $20 a day, the one by the government, so we needed to pay $50 a day. And then at first we didn't even get into that one, so we needed to pay someone $20 an hour. So let's do the math quickly. So let's start with the $20 a day. $20 a day means 5 days a week. That means $100 a week. That means $400 a month, okay? We put that on the side. $50 a day, that means $250 a week. That means $1,000 a month. Okay? Now, the $20 an hour, that one, it's painful. It's painful because if I'm a nurse, so let's say I get paid whatever, right? Over half, and then my money is taxed. So, and then this one is not taxed that I'm paying. So I don't remove tax, that's what I mean. They probably do their own taxes. So don't go after my babysitters. So the $20 an hour, and we'll do 8 hours. So in a shift, that's $160 that you pay. And then if I'm working 3 days a week, do the math, right? 360 times 3, that is, I think it's 400 and something a week. Times 4, is that right? Yeah, that's almost $500. Times 4, right? For 4 weeks in a month, that is $2,000, guys. $2,000. And then how much do you get paid? How much is taxes removed from that? So, and then on top of that, that's one kid. Now, if you have 2 kids, what does that look like? So then those moms, that's why I think rationally they've decided, you know what, it's best for me to stay at home, because if I'm paying someone $1,000 and I get paid $2,000, so half of my paycheck is literally going to babysitting. So then now we have understood the case for why people stay at home with their kids, because financially it's just better for them to stay at home. Okay. You know, some people really believe that your child should not be taken care by someone else, and that no one else can take care of your kid like the way you do. And to some point, I can understand them, but I think it shouldn't be put in as a way to make people feel guilty. Or I really don't think those people make it to make other people feel guilty. I think this is maybe research, maybe it's a researcher, and this is what they have found works. And so it's not really meant to guilt trip people. It's, if anything, it's meant to educate people. I think the best that people have understood it being put across is that it's best for us to spend as much time with our kids. So if we can make it work, that will be great. You know, I'm not a trade wife or a corporate mama, but I think from both sides, I felt the guilt of like, oh, you're going back to work, why aren't you taking care of your kids? And then at the same time, the other side of like, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom, so I'm not contributing financially to our situation. Okay, so it started raining, so I needed to get back inside quickly. But stay-at-home moms, let's just talk about what happens with stay-at-home moms, because I really do not think that it's physically draining. It's really not. The work is not like, I've done physical draining work at the hospital, and moving people and all this. So the work is not physical at all. There's nothing physical about this, but there is a mental component to it, because your mind does not switch off. There is literally, you're just going all the time. There is no breaks. There is no, I need to turn my mind off. You are literally on duty 24/7. And when you're at work and you're like, I'm gonna go to the water fountain and have a break because I cannot handle this customer. Well, when you are a stay-at-home mom, that's not there, okay? There is no review, employee review, Like, oh, let's see how you're doing. And, here's your pat in the shoulder. It's not there. That's why a lot of stay-at-home moms feel underappreciated, because really, not many people see the good work that you're doing. Like, your husband probably thanks you, but if they thank you too much, do you know that if someone says, I love you all the time, it's almost like it turns off that weight of those words. They pretty much like are not noticeable anymore, or to your mind, you become desensitized. So that's why stay-at-home moms feel underappreciated, because even if your husband says, oh, you're doing so great, honey, and this is, but you're hearing it too many times also from one person who you think has to tell you those things because, yeah, that's his duty. Oh my gosh. Oh, and also with stay-at-home moms, you know how it works? You're like, I worked time and a half. I worked 40 hours a week. So if I work any more, I'm getting paid time and a half. There's no time and a half, guys. There's no vacation, okay? You are on duty all the time, and it keeps going. So that's why it's mentally draining for the stay-at-home mom. Well, now for the corporate mom, they go to work, they have to please an employer, they have to please a customer. You also cannot just scream at work. You have to be composed and, self-controlled. So you have that. And then after work, you have to take care of someone. You want to be competent at work, but at the back of your mind, you're thinking, I need to do that appointment. Oh, I need to remember to do laundry and fold it. And how many raise of hands? How many of you have started laundry and it's in the wash, and then you remember a day later, and then the smell that comes out of that after? If someone has a remedy for that, please let me know. That smell that's in the laundry when you open it after, let's say you've forgot about it, and then you have to rewash the clothes now. Being a working mom, you're just like multitasking, and the list is long. You can take the trash, remind the husband to take the trash, do that doctor's appointment, a hair appointment, all these things that you need to keep at the back of your mind. And then on top of that, you're feeling guilty that you put your kid in daycare, and then you're really thinking, how many milestones have I missed now that I've put this kid in daycare? And so while you're at work, but you're not at work, your mind is at home. And then once you're done work and everything has finished at work, you have a second shift, and now you have to pick up the kid, come home, cook, clean, do the bedtime routine, do the, bath time routine, and reading the book, and you're trying to be present. And then the next day you have to rinse and repeat. Honestly, that can be so exhausting. Meanwhile, at the other side, there's no switching off after the 40 hours, after, maybe you get a break when your husband comes home. But to me now these days, this is a break when my husband comes home, takes care of the kids, and then I cook in silence. This is like peace in my mind. Now it's something that, like, before it never was a thing. I didn't see what a blessing it was to just cook with no interruptions. Now it's a blessing when my husband comes and takes the kids, and then now I have to cook, and that zen and the silence, uninterrupted. I think that's the other thing that's mentally draining the whole day, especially the word why. I've been going through why. Mommy, why? Mommy, why? And then I can't just say because. I have to actually rationally think, why? What is it I'm about to explain to this kid, and what makes sense to them? I'm trying to make it sense, and then I have to bring it down to their 1.5-year-old mind or 2-year-old mind. And so the amount of brain power that goes through that, diabolical. So I want to emphasize that after all this, I did some deep work on myself, because right now I'm in the limbo of going back to work, staying at home, going back to work and staying at home. And I had to internalize for myself why our family is choosing specific things. Each family has their own reasons why they're staying at home. So if you're staying at home, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're wasting your education. And then if you're going back to work, do not feel guilty that someone else is raising your kids. If that person who's raising your kid is a loving person, that's probably better. I've heard that from work, some people have told me that, aren't you happy to come back to work? I just needed something that was more stimulating. And I think everyone is different. People come from all walks of life. People are different. Someone even told me, oh, you came back to work. Don't you just enjoy going to the washroom without being interrupted? And I was like, yeah, I literally never go to the washroom uninterrupted until the kids go to sleep. So whatever camp you're in today, I think from what I have realized with going to mom groups and talking to other women is that we're all trying to do what's best for these kids. We want to raise strong kids, and it's going to look different in each and every person's situation. For instance, some of us, the bills that we have, maybe we bought a home or we're still taking care of our loved ones. If you're African like me, maybe you're taking care of family back home. So there is all this financial responsibility that you still need to take care of your family and your growing family, your immediate family. So some people decide to go to work, but then some people also decide, you know what, you're going to stay at home, the wife, and the husband is going to work, but then that means they're going to have missed vacations. They're going to be groceries. They have to really nitpick at what they buy. Subscriptions need to be canceled. These are all things that maybe we do not see the sacrifices of each side. I think there is such a big sacrifice on the stay-at-home mom, the financial sacrifice that needs to be done there. That is immense. And then on the other side, the working mom, there's another sacrifice that, you're not able to see all the things that are going on with your kids, like the milestone. I remember just the guilt of hearing the milestones, or like even what did they eat? What did they not like? What did they like? But I had that comfort of, you know what, one person is taking care of my kid, and that person gets to know my kid. And then I just would tell myself about the benefits of daycare, that they're going to speak faster, they're going to learn, they're going to socialize, all these things that I was telling my mind because I needed to go back to work financially. So anyway, all this to say, if we do our best at being emotionally available. So even if as a stay-at-home mom, do you know that you can be a stay-at-home mom and literally be on Instagram all day? Preaching to the choir, right? You can literally not be present with your kid. And for me, this was something that I am literally telling myself, am I being present? Am I being present with my kids? You can literally not be emotionally there. That it's even better to send your kid to daycare to be with someone who's emotionally present with your kid. Yeah. So I think the best thing that I have learned, and I am reading this book, which I'll have to put it in the next video, about you need to be present, emotionally present and physically present. So if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're physically present, but now you need to be emotionally present. And then if you're working, you need to, once you get home, the moment you come in the house, you need to acknowledge your kids, recognize them, and be emotionally there. Capish? So I heard from a stay-at-home mom who had young kids and they had to work, and they worked, and then when they came home they would actually acknowledge, like, I am so sorry I had to work, how was your day, and acknowledge the feelings of this child that they were left without their mother. Because in the end of the day, we want to raise children who are strong, and so that means we have strong families, we have strong communities, we have strong cities and nations, right? We are raising, no matter what, no matter you're stay-at-home mom or you're working mom, we're raising the next generation of nurses and doctors and engineers and lawyers and plumbers and construction workers, all these jobs that we need in this world. That's these kids, that's what we are raising them to be. For me, I'm a Christian, so I'm raising them to be Christian, loving, one day to be a loving wife or a loving husband, whatever it may be. But we need to kind of take the bull by the horn and really steward our time well. So no matter what you end up choosing, I hope you can understand the message of this. And it's about being emotionally present. And we need to cast away the guilt that comes from just when you look online and just brush it off. Some things it's like, those people, they don't have the passport to your life. You can only control your own feelings. So do not let those comments and those sarcasm get to you, because they don't know your situation, baby girl. They don't know where you've come from and the things that are going on and why you have to work and what that means for you in your future. Maybe you're working because you're realizing, I never liked having student debt, so I need to pay for my kids. Well, $20,000 a year is not a small fit. So try to think about those things and don't let the internet control you. You have your own thoughts, you have your own mind, and don't let it influence you. You literally... There's a verse in the Bible, and I've told myself, maybe don't be like Bible thumping all the time. But you know what? There is wisdom in the Bible, and Jesus sends out the disciples, and he warns them and says, if they do not accept your message, you just brush it off. Brush it off. Meaning that he knew that there's going to be offense coming our way. There's going to be offense coming at the disciples' ways. There's going to be offense coming at your way when you're deciding, I'm staying at home. There's going to be offense coming when you decide, I'm going back to work. You need to brush it off. Brush it off. I hope you have a good day, and please send this video to someone who might be encouraged by it. And please let me know of your comments, and I welcome them all. And just so you know, if you say something negative, it might affect me for a little bit, but I'm going to learn to brush it off. Have a good one.